Yeah, we're gonna jump into it. Let's start with this, man. There's been a lot of rumor, and I think it's going to happen. But they're talking about expanding the college football playoff to 24 teams,
Hmm.
and yeah. So it's been in some heavy discussion. Coaches talking about it, fans talking about it, and we know every time during the off season, there's always a story about this team jumping conferences, just kind of keep college football in the media. But I think this is a real deal. So, E. King, we want to start with you. What's your take on that?
My take on that is, honestly, guys, I really don't like it. I wanted to be more than four teams, so I'm glad they got us to 12. Um, Once you get past 12, I think it becomes, it's definitely a money grab. With the TV deals that are happening, across these, Power Four conferences, the money just keeps going up. They're figuring out more ways to make it right and diversify it. So of course that says, okay, well, how can we figure out to elevate these playoffs and to have more what viewership is what they're looking for, more sponsorship, right, and more money going to the schools. Now, for me, I feel like it does help out some lower level teams, that have great seasons. But I also think that it hurts some programs as well. You know what I mean? You might get that extra team from the Big Ten to get in. You might get that extra team from the SEC to get in. But I wanted to be it'll be obviously for something like that. Notre Dame would have got in, who's plays an independent schedule, right? So you have those different fluctuations that could happen based on you expanding it to 24 teams, which is more of a realistic playoff. But what does that look like throughout the season and throughout the bowl season? And and it's just a couple questions that I have. I like it at 12. I think that's solid. I didn't like it at 4, and I'm not so strong that I'm not so happy to see it maybe go to 24. I think that just might be a little bit too much.
What you think, Pace?
I think in the framework of college sports and football in particular, I just think it doesn't really make sense. And I'm speaking more for the athlete, you know what I mean? Like, because you're not conditioned to go through unless you're, in Division 2, like they do it like that. But I don't know. I don't think they're at 24 teams though. Um, and to me, it's a depth issue. It's going to be 100% a depth issue. There's no way you make it unscathed if you're, let's just say, if you're Miami and Indiana from this year. If you put 24 teams in there, there's no way you make it unscathed to where, God forbid, a Malachi Tony get nicked up, or Omar Cooper Jr. for Indiana receiver get nicked up in a quarterfinal game, and you got more games to play. I just don't. It just doesn't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm speaking 100% from the athlete. I think that changes your training. I think that changes your camp methodology. I think that changes your practices during the season. Why? Because I can't put too much on you, man. We got a whole nother season at the end of the season. You know what I'm saying? If, if we're talking about being smart, and I think you even gonna have to add more science into that, because you got to find a way to keep these guys healthy. You have to find a way to keep them on the field. And the flip of that is, Smitty, we talked about this off air. If you're a top 5 running back coming out, right? Does it make sense for you to play and you the 23rd seed in the first round, and you know how far you got to make it just to get to the national championship, and you already playing running back, and you already had a season of wear and tear on your body? Does that make sense for you? You know what I'm
You're
saying?
already
Like,
you're already coming into the game with that bum ankle.
you already, yeah, no, y'all know how it is, man. Nobody plays a season and just roll through injury free. I'm feeling good every day.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just
It's,
not
it's never
realistic.
happened.
That's not
Not for
So I
long.
realistic.
think I think with the way money's flowing now and these guys understanding you, hey man, you got rights now. So I think you're gonna see what sounds like a good idea. I think you're gonna see more guys saying, hey man, we the 18th seed, man. Like, let's be real. I got a career look beyond. You know what I'm saying? I think you're gonna see that. Um, and I don't know how, even with constructing a roster with the NI and the portal and everything, I think you're gonna have to do some things differently. And to just drop that on us, man, I think that takes time, man. I mean, could it happen with some proper planning? Yes. In a few years, yes. But it just, hey, yeah, we've been thinking about it. Yeah, let's just drop it on. Nah, man. It didn't make sense to me.
I agree.
Well, I felt the same way, guys, but I thought it through. And let me ask you guys something. If let's say you're going into, would you rather play? Okay, let me ask you guys something. In the NFL, how this works: if you win the first round of the playoffs, right, regardless of the score, you get a payout, right? And because you won the first round, you automatically go to the next round, and win, lose, or draw, you're gonna get another playoff check, right? So just by winning the first round, you're going to get 2 playoff checks. Now that second one's going to be based on whether you win or not, correct? Okay,
Hmm.
so think about that as a college football team. Let's just say you're the 20th ranked team. Let's say it's Wake Forest, they're ranked 20th. They get into the playoff, right? Now, compare that to the bowl experience. Number one, once you get below that playoff team, a lot of teams, they lose money going to a bowl game off rip. Now, if you're in the playoff, you're getting a playoff check. And if you win against that number 12 opponent, I don't know how they're going to break it up, but if you play in the number 12 team and you win, you get 2 checks. Because again, you get for winning the first round, now you're automatically getting paid because you're in the second round.
Second round.
Versus with the bowl game, you get 1 payoff and that's it. You might break even if you're lucky and you go home. Now, think about it as a player. Would you rather play in a bowl game and then that's it, there's nothing beyond it? Or would you rather play in a playoff where you got a chance to play in the next round and be a part of that discussion where you're probably going to get seen more? Because I'm willing to bet if you're the number 18 ranked team, didn't make the playoff, being in a playoff, you're going to get more media coverage than the bowl game you're going to. So
See,
I
Smith,
say, go
I
ahead.
don't know. I don't know if these kids for the last 20 years care that much about playing beyond bowl games. I don't know if they even cared about this whole playoff thing. Because you got to understand, if you took a whole team, Smitty, and we said even we just took all of us, right? We've had conversation off air. You knew you didn't want to play in the NFL, right? You was
Yeah.
like, man, look, I'm good. I want to get my degree. I want to do some things that, whether it's in the community, whether it's in politics, whatever. You knew that wasn't your lane. So sometimes people like yourself, like, bro, I can't wait for this to be over with. I'm like,
But here's the game changer, Pace. Remember, now after this house settlement, athletes they get a portion of the revenue. So the more money you make, so if I play in this playoff game and we win, I just increase the amount, even if it's by a couple of $1,000 when they break it down. The further you go, the more money you get. So now I have an incentive to play because I'm getting a portion of the revenue. I know that for sure. So
I
you
hear
know what
you.
I'm saying?
I would argue that I would say
And
that there's probably some guys who probably don't necessarily want to keep that going for whatever,
I can see
whether
that.
that's you
I can
looking
see
at,
that.
whether you looking at like, no, I got a pro career to look forward to. You know what I'm saying? Or you got some guys just like, look, man, either my body letting me down, I can't keep going anymore because it's only
I
gonna keep
feel
getting
you.
harder. Like if you playing, if Wake beat University of Richmond, cool. Next week we got USC. Man, it's gonna be a little different.
You're right.
Physically, it's gonna be a little different. And
You're right.
say we bust their head. We gotta go. We gotta see Michigan. Man,
But but
that's a
again,
toll
though,
on you.
that check. But guess what? That check gets bigger. That
It
check gets
does, Smitty.
bigger,
But so
and
so
that
here's the thing about
popularity grows, and that awareness grows. I'm just
the
saying.
playoffs, Smitty. That never, and especially in the pro game, you ain't making your normal salary. It's a drastic pay cut, almost to the point where it's borderline not worth it. And, I'm like you going from some guy making 20 million a year, whatever that busts down to weekly, to now you might make. I think when I was playing, if you made it to the Super Bowl, I think you made it. You still make it like 200,000.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think
Wow.
about it, I mean, from a financial standpoint, from just like, look, man, y'all, we know this. Any day could be your last day on the earth, not just playing on the earth playing football, right? A hit. We've seen people paralyzed, unfortunately. We've seen DeMar
Yeah.
Hamlin have cardiac arrest on the field. We like God. The only thing that saved us from not seeing a death is God and science.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
true.
So I just think, man, with people, again, with these guys having a voice now, um, making money, decisions. I think you're gonna have some people that not necessarily lean the way that you think that they would lean. That's not gonna say that they wouldn't play. You with your boys. People can talk you into playing. You just sometimes you might not want to do something. You like, nah, I can't go out like that. I gotta finish it right. But that's a lot, man. That is a. I couldn't imagine in our time saying like, look, yeah, we're gonna run through the season and then we gotta have a possible another 4 games
Those
Well,
before we
four
do.
games.
well, would a how about this? Would a 20% increase in NIL opportunities because you're in the playoff change your mind?
It,
Yeah,
it,
Because
it would
again,
help.
you're in the, that's what I'm saying. You're in the playoff,
It'll
and that's
help.
what you're doing this for. But I,
It'll
I would
help.
say this though. I would say just consider this is that what it would do, even from a marketing standpoint. I say so. For example, do you guys know how much the college football playoff pulled in that they had to split amongst when it was eight? The last year it was 8 teams
Hmm.
how much?
What was it?
over $1 billion.
Sound about right?
So
Sound about
now
right.
imagine what that take home can be when you've pulled these other teams in as a bigger marketing package. And again, they're going to get a split of it too. See, now
So,
everybody's getting paid because that money goes to the conferences and then I think it goes directly to the schools or the conferences. Either way, it filters down. And because of that house settlement, the players get a piece of
so let me ask you this. That's the good side of it. Let's say the other side of it. Let's say you. Let's say
it.
you a hell of a player. You a sophomore. Let's say you Jeremiah Smith. You a sophomore, but you've been nicked up all season. Just a little small stuff. You get to the playoffs. You're feeling better. But every game it just feels like, man, I just need it. Man, I don't know, man. And you know how like, man, you leave a game like, bro, I don't even know how I got through this one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
From an injury
And
standpoint.
you know what I would say to that? If I was the coach, I would say, hey, if you come and tell me that, I would say, hey, cool. I'll make it cool in the press if you make sure your backup is ready. Because if you came here, whoever your backup is next up anyway. We done planned that you ain't going to be here. We
Yeah.
just get to put them
But
on now. But help me out here, and we'll take care of it in the press. We won't dog you. We'll say we understand and wish you well. We got your back. But you make sure that backup or whoever we putting over there is ready. Because that's
so
all you can do.
So what I was alluding to with that was just like, man, if you're a guy with this superior talent level, you're a sophomore, right? These extra games, if you get a serious injury where you're playing more games than you would ever have played before, now going into your next season, which is supposed to be you're a Heisman contender. Everybody expecting you to
Mm-hmm.
collect all these awards and ride off into the sunset at the end and get paid. Now what happens if you keep putting yourself in the line of fire? Eventually,
Well,
you're gonna get
or
shot. You know what I'm saying?
or think
Eventually,
about
One of
this
the
pace. If you the number 4, let's say you the number 4 wide receiver, and the top 2 decide they're not going to play, and you decide to play, and you put up numbers in the playoffs, and what if it comes back now? Now you jumped ahead of them because people can say, "Oh,
exactly.
we've seen him in big time situations."
Well, I do remember this though, fellas, and we got to think about this too.
Okay.
In the NFL, is 3 seasons. You had the preseason, you had the regular season, and you had the playoffs. The regular season was even broken down into four quarters. You had your first quarter, which was your first 4 games, your second quarter, your next 4 games, so on and so forth, right? That's how it kind of breaks down in the league. You realize by about week 6 to about week 8, those rookies start hitting that
wall.
wall, right? So we know that there's something called a rookie wall. So here you are talking about playing well, now it's 2 preseason games, right? It's 2 preseason games or 3. It's 2 preseason games now. Now you have a 18 game season, 16 game season, okay, with the playoffs included, right? So look how many games you're playing, right? So before I get to that level, if I have an opportunity to, if I'm a DB, receiver, running back, I've been banged up before, quarterback, it don't matter what position you play, and I have an opportunity to get to the next level, I am going to be a little bit concerned about how deep and far we go into the playoffs, and if it and if it's beneficial to me to continue to play these games at the rate my body feels versus me pushing to get to the NFL and having longevity based on what I've learned about the seasons and how long they are and how grueling they are as well. So gotta think about that as
Totally
well.
agree. I totally agree. I totally agree with you guys. I just think that there are too many other entities that go into college football that are going to benefit greatly because a lot of people have lost interest in bowl games over the years, and
Mm,
I
You
think they're going to
never
need
know,
some.
man.
Well, and
yeah,
that's where I think
You
this,
know,
that's why I think college football playoff says, look, we'll give you the first round of some of these, 20th ranked teams. We'll let you have that first round, put your name to it or whatever. But you're gonna have to come on in this college football family. We're gonna have to talk about this split. And so because when a bowl game doesn't get that interest, man, you gotta look locally. Like how are
yeah,
you
but
marketing it?
I think
But that
college football has nobody to blame but themselves. I mean, you water down the bowl experience. I mean, you put letting 5 and 7 teams go, 6 and 6,
yeah,
and it used to be a standard to it to where it was almost like it was looked. You couldn't wait to see who got selected. Now it's like, man, every
because the money
division make the
because the
SEC, make a bowl game.
Because remember, there was something we talked about when I said the cost of producing a game has gone up, and it used to be what started happening was when universities started barely breaking even with bowl games. That's somewhere the money got funny, and universities because for a team not to go, the AD and the university, there are a lot of people other than the head coach that have to make that decision, and they tend
or
to
look at
look at
happened to
those
us.
numbers.
Right? Wake
Yeah,
Forest, right? And look who we played. We played Mississippi State. Was
yeah,
able to get that W. That's pretty big for our program. Here we are. We get it. We get that bid. We're able to go against the SEC team. Solid competition. We get it done. In a way, it does boost that school, especially that might be on that mid tier. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's kind of
So
interesting.
So, guys, let's jump into this next hot topic. And Pace, I want to get your take on this one first. Uh, there was a situation where a player named Dakota Fields, in 2025, he played 3 games at Oregon. Then he transferred to Oklahoma. And there was a buyout clause in his contract that he would ultimately, the total buyout was roughly $40,000. And if he paid the $40,000 by April, they would cut him, or he would only have to pay 29, and they would cut him a deal for about 10 grand. And he didn't pay the amount by that time, and so they're suing him now for 10 grand. There were a couple of other stories at some places where you had Brandon Sorsby, who was sued by Cincinnati for $1 million before going to Texas Tech, but there were so many other things wrapped up in that story. Then you had a guy, I think it's Damon Wilson. He was sued by Georgia for roughly $400,000 for the same thing. Pace, I want to get your take. Is this going to become something that is a do you see this now impacting transfers where universities put such a buyout number in that contract that it makes it hard for a player to transfer?
Yes, it's either that or you either make them an employee where you
That
have
ain't
it
gonna
where
happen.
contractually you
Mm.
can't you
Yeah.
have to abide by a contract. So in looking at these situations, the one that was probably the most I would say I ain't gonna call it alarming, but it worked out in the best way, but it really had some merit to it to where the player had the upper hand was the Mensa kid from Duke. And the article was
Oh, yeah.
reading to where I was talking. That's what I was talking about being an employee. Where the article spoke to if he wanted to take this far and say I'm not going to pay this. There was some leeway from in his on his side, the player side, to say again, if you're not an employee, you didn't sign anything contractual to say that you just have to be
I'm a
here.
student.
And
I'm a
I'm
student.
a
I'm
I'm a
a student
student,
at school.
and there was another kid there was a corner at Wisconsin. And so Wisconsin was trying to block his transfer to Miami, right? Because it was either the time of year or they felt like Miami was tampering. And whereas I think a judge came in and said, well, he's a student first. You can't block a student from transferring anywhere. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So that's the thing about it. Like in this new age of college football, it's like they just dropped all these things off on the portal. NIL, you got all this playoffs. But again, we know, like, man, if you sign a contract, right? Like a contract is a contract. Like you can't be looking elsewhere when you already contractually here. Yeah, you can hold out all you want, but you know what? That team got something that's standing behind them. It's called it's called language. So that language say every day you miss unexcused, that's 33,000 across your head,
Mm,
right?
mm.
It's like stuff protecting them and the player, right? So I think when you just start paying people and you just kind of hoping that they do the right thing. So like with the kid from Oregon, I just think that was just a young mistake. Like if somebody tells you, we understand, like, hey man, somebody come to you with a judgment, like, look, you owe us 50, but if you pay by July 1st, we'll cut it to 15. You gonna pay tomorrow if you got it. I'm not about to pay that whole 30 when you giving me the
For
out.
sure. For
But
sure.
the young boy probably like, man, I ain't paying that much, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So
The
I
young
just think
boy probably didn't understand at 18, 19 years old, 17 years old, that you're signing a contractual agreement and that the
right.
language there states that X, Y, and Z. He don't understand that, I don't think. And a lot of them don't.
But the
Man,
thing, Smitty,
here's
it's gonna be
here's what we find out about these contracts, man. This is what I learned in politics. Your contract is as strong as your attorney's ability to defend.
Mm, mm.
Look at how many times prenups get shut down.
Say that again. Say that again.
You see what I'm saying? Look at how many times that you thinking, oh man, this is ironclad. Oh, well, nah, she signed it under duress. Duress? What the what? Yeah, we're gonna throw that out. That's what they're arguing. So, and that's why a lot of these things with the NCAA, all of these situations, if you notice, for the NCAA to make major changes, you got to take it to the Supreme Court. You ain't gonna win that thing. NIL, all of this stuff went that deep. And so if you don't, so I agree with what you guys saying, and a lot of this stuff is straightforward. But if you get the right attorney, like just like the situation at Duke, what do they say? We're gonna settle this. We don't really want to go back and forth. We're gonna handle this a certain way. But again, if you got the right attorney that can find that way in, you can get out of almost any contract, dog. Remember back in the day when cats were figuring out how to get out of their cell phone contracts.
Oh, somebody, they're going to figure that out. They're going to figure something out. But even
but
to that
also
point, right? When I was dealing with my daughter, her jumping in the transfer portal from Mississippi State to Seton Hall, we kind of went through that, right? Once we got to Tulane on the official visit, and then we got to Seton Hall on the official visit, we were able to take a look at some of the contracts that were put in front of them, and even like the contract at Seton Hall had some language which said that she was owed X amount for NIL by signing. But deep in the contract, when we sent it over to the lawyer, because we wanted another set of eyes to look at it before we signed, the lawyers spotted in the language that if she were to enter into the portal at a certain point of time, part of that NIL payment that she was supposed to get gets cut, right? So we ended up working that language out. But just like you said, we didn't just by based off putting the contract in front of us and us reading it, and being who we are as normal people, not putting that in front of an attorney in some sort of way will definitely you will be held liable. So we were glad that we did that. We got everything worked out, and even with that, it threw a little extra in right in terms of the deal. But yeah, they definitely had the language tied up to the point where they were going to be able to recoup some based on the decision that will be made if she decided to enter the portal at a certain time or not. So, and to that point, I learned, now being a coach and being a dad and dealing with both sides of this, I think it's important. When I even talk to some kids being recruited right now, I tell them to run everything through a manager or a lawyer, right? At this point in time, that's something that you need to have on deck. You can't just run it through the parent. The parent doesn't know enough about it unless they're, consistently dealing with legalities and things like that and they're in the system. Other than that, you're definitely going to need another set of eyes. So to all kids out there, looking to do NIL contracts, looking to do NIL deals, or the ones that have them right now, do not sign the dotted line without having some type of representation. Take a look at it. Period. Point
Yeah,
blank.
because as a head coach, it's hard to argue against a kid, dealing with a buyout or even offering one when as a head coach, you got one of your contract. You see what I'm saying? It's hard. How do you sit across from someone and say you can't have what I have? How can you, especially at a D1 program, you know?
These niggas, they don't pay them boys nothing.
Yeah, like you sitting there with an agent saying these young boys don't need an agent, but then saying they're young and they need somebody around them to help them. Come on, man, stop.
Nick Saban on that Tommy Tuberville stuff.
Oh, easy. Yeah, Nick
Yeah,
Saban
They
on
they
he,
they they in cahoots, you know.
but
man, you can't
I
sit
say
there
this, Smitty.
and own a Mercedes dealership and then tell somebody what they can't have. Okay.
Hey, Smitty, I say this, man. Everything that's happening right now in college sports was destined to happen by how they did everything. You got to put parameters in place
Facts.
to protect both
Facts.
sides. And specifically with these being kids, young adults, right? They don't have the, just like you were talking about the kid at Dakota Field, they don't have the knowledge and the lived experience to understand some shit, some things you just got to do because they just make sense, right? Why would I pay more when I could pay less and be done with it, right?
Hmm.
Understanding contract and language and everything. Like E said, man, the language is everything. The language is the protection. Because if I don't put the language in there, you ain't gonna come lift weights. You ain't gonna come on time. You ain't gonna come to practice. He done see, man, bruh, Smitty, you hand somebody some money and they playing a sport, you don't know what direction they might go. You
Yeah.
really don't, man. They
Yeah.
might have the mindset to keep working harder or work harder than they've ever worked. They might have the mindset as soon as you hand them that check, they say, I'm done. But
And I
I've
know
seen
you've
it
seen that in
before.
the league. I know you've seen
I
that in the league, Pace.
Smitty,
Mm.
I seen a top 5 pick do nothing. And they couldn't do nothing with him. He came to work on time. He was a good person, but I could just see he was like, man, I'm good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
But contractually, he still had to do certain things, right? And so if you got certain things in such an infancy stage, and you talking about NIL, like Kirby Smart ain't getting involved in none of that. He like that's NIL, like that ain't. You know what I'm saying? It's like to me, it was destined to be this way. Luckily, it's not worse. Honestly, luckily we've only had a few instances of these type of things. But I don't. The whole system in general just doesn't make sense. And you putting immature minds in some places that immature minds ain't supposed to be in. You know, but
Very
expecting them
true.
to expecting them to be at their best and make sound decisions when, man, you're 18, 19, you're supposed to make stupid decisions. Now we put millions on it. Now we acting like these people supposed to, do the right thing. No, no. That
But
man said,
let's
I'm about to go get me a chain with this money, man. I ain't about to pay
Oh,
you
for
no
sure.
money. You gonna have to
For
come
sure.
get this chain in blood. That's what he said. You gonna have to come get it in blood.
That's what he said.
and
That's what he
yeah,
said.
that'll happen. I think that there are going to be more clauses that are going to be put in these contracts as these situations happen. There was another case I want to jump into with you guys about Carson Gordon. This kind of again looking at the paperwork, the wording. Two-star. Let's see. Transferred from UCLA to Texas Tech. Well, the latest update was it's not Texas Tech. He didn't end up going there. From what I heard, it
Wow.
was
Okay.
Austin P.
Wow.
That's where
Okay.
he ended up at, and
Okay. That's a big
he was
drop. That's a big drop off from Texas Tech.
again. He's playing two sports, and
Wow.
he used that loophole of running track and using that portal window to transfer outside of the football portal window, and I'm not
First
sure
player to ever do
it,
that.
but
First player to ever do something
I'm
like
not
that.
sure that'll happen a lot because first of all, you got to play two sports. That's the biggest thing, and that shrinks that number down to a very small few.
Damn near nothing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
while I do think it just again as we were talking about contracts, it exposes a loophole in the transfer deal. But you got to be that rare athlete that's playing two sports. I don't see a lot of guys or a lot of young women or young men all of a sudden trying to play two sports.
So I will
You
And I
say
think
know,
this,
that
Smith. If you flip it, if you see a guy who has that ability but chooses not to, maybe they say now, what if you're a kid that says same kid, you Carson, UCLA, he was good enough in baseball to walk on, right? Like, yeah, let's see how this works out. Maybe in the back in the day, you're like, nah, I'm totally football. Whereas like now, I need to have them two two different portal windows, yeah, let me go on out there, kind of have some protection. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think you can
Yeah,
see some more people who have that in their high school background, AAU club, whatever. Um, kind of strengthen that and think about it more. But I mean, it's not going to be a drastic, crazy jump in numbers. I mean, you're talking maybe 50, maybe,
yeah,
kids who, I mean, we do have some kids who can ball. We do have some kids that, I know it's a tight end going to Oregon from North Carolina, from Reedsville. He's like the number one tight end and the number one basketball player. They want to play both sports, right? Based on what that is, yeah, heck, I'm gonna go out there sit on the bench in basketball because I need that window open.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah.
And
But
then
you got
not
to be
only that,
willing to run them sprints and suicides in basketball and everything that comes with
but
it.
again, Paces, is to your point, right? Again, loopholes are being exposed because everything was just tossed out there and done so fast and done so quickly, right? Like it's inevitable that we get to these points where now we're seeing these little intricacies, these little details that are coming up, between contractual obligations versus loopholes in the window, versus what sport I can play and what I should try to be doing now. You know what I mean? And in some ways, either taking advantage of the situation, right? Because everybody wants to do that to their best of ability, whether it be the school, the institution, or whether that be the student athlete. So I think again, this is another dealing where the whole NIL picture is being exposed, and more reasons why more sanctions and more rules and regulations need to be tightened up for the whole process.
hundred
And
percent agree.
but real quick, I just want to mention this. We'll go into our next topic. It goes back to what we were talking about. A lot of this was dropped on people, just as any major thing gets dropped on people when because the NCAA was forced to do it by the courts. If they would have done it on their own, taken the time when it was first, and said, you know what, we need to make this thing more fair. Let's plan it out so we can get into it. Let's go ahead and start thinking it through. But they rolled the dice thinking that they would never pay players. So they made no effort to put an infrastructure in place. And the Supreme Court said, nope, you're going to have to implement this immediately. And because of that, if you look at a lot of situations, I mean, even go back to integration, they weren't ready for that. But guess what? Because you prolonged it, the court said go ahead and do it now. That's what typically happens.
Mm,
And
mm,
so you get caught up in that because guess what? You're gonna have a lot of people that still want to do it the old way. You have a lot of coaches that say, "Oh, I don't want to do this NIL stuff." Okay, well, regardless of whether you're going to a bowl game or the playoffs, you going home. And they've
Watching
been sitting
Indiana,
home. Though
sitting
they've
there
been
watching
sitting
Indiana
home.
win it all. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So, but going to the next topic, this has been a big one. A lot of people been commenting on it, and I really want to get some insight from you two guys, being veterans of the league. You saw the Rams and the Browns have a trade, big trade between the two. You had Myles Garrett going to the Rams, and you had the Cleveland Browns getting Jared. Is it Jared Verse or Gerard? Jared Verse.
Yeah,
Here at
verse.
verse. Mhm.
Jared Verse. Both pass rushers at two different, what I think, two different spectrums of their career. Both great players. Uh, so let me ask you guys, who do you think won? Let's start with you, E. King.
You know what? I had a 4 game stint for the Cleveland Browns. I'm gonna go Cleveland Browns, man. And this is why I chose the Cleveland Browns. Um, let's take the best piece that we have because we're not going to the bowl game. Okay, we're not going to the super thing. Let's get him out right now while he's still a prime in his career. Let's get some things for him. So what do we get for him? Right? We got another top tier player, maybe top player. I would call Garrett top tier. I would call Verse top a top player. We got picks in each draft for the next 3 years, first round. Okay, then we have what do we have? We got a 2027 first round, 2028 second round, 2028 third round. So we're getting assets. We got a young quarterback. Now we're getting young players to support that young quarterback. Hopefully, a good, solid coach now. And now let's get this thing moving and swinging in the right direction and just continue to try to develop as we have in the past for X amount of years, right? So I kind of like the move. Let's get younger. Let's try to build our roster, which most coaches want to do when it's their first year anyway, right? And when they're entering into a new organization anyway. So, I thought that was pretty smart by them. Let's see what we got in Shador. You know, De- Deshaun Watson is such a it's a crazy thing because we saw him play at a level where he was almost one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Probably about 4 or 5 years ago, for him to go through his situation off the field and then take that. He had a few performances where he showed like he could possibly get back to the at the rate he was playing when he was in Houston, and then he kind of slid off. But I think there's still a little bit of juice in him left, and I would love to see the quarterback competition. Have fun. Let's start a black quarterback and see what Cleveland can do this year.
All right, Pace, what you think?
Let's say the
And
Rams
now we're
won.
talking to the guy that played the position, right? So he can give you some more info in terms of what do you think about those guys too, Pace? I want to hear that.
So so here's the thing, right? Like I'm a Jets fan. I'm gonna be a Jets fan until I get done playing. That's where I had the most fun playing, right? The best move they made was trading Sauce Gardner. The best move they made. When I take and they pimped. Oh,
I meant to
we
ask
got
you about
Indy.
that too. I meant
Oh,
to
we
ask you
got
that.
Indy on that one. We got him. Right. Same
Think
thing with
so?
Quentin Williams. Yeah, oh hell
Okay.
yeah. Look,
Okay.
man, I'm gonna keep I don't know Sauce, and I don't like talking about people their game because he's playing. He has way more accolades than I had as a player. I don't see him as a lockdown corner. I don't see him as, and I say that because one, tall corners are a penalty waiting to happen, right?
Mm.
Because you're so long. People
Mhm.
want that length, but understand like one false step, you're gonna be so long in that in that mistake that typically you end up
Mhm.
real grabby, right? Uh, and so I don't know his play started dipping from his rookie year. We got 2 1s from 2 first-round picks. That's amazing. We got excellent first round capital for Quentin Williams. That's amazing. The beauty of it for those players, which I love so much for them, is they still are so young. They could still go have success, win rings. It just
Right.
wasn't gonna happen in New York. I hate to see
Right.
players waste and rot. I do.
Right.
I love the stick to itness of it, trying to right and wrongs and keep the ship moving. But it ain't gonna happen. It's above your pay. It's this shit above your head, bro. Like like the Browns been bad for 40 years, man. It ain't gonna happen, bro. You
Mhm.
Yeah.
feel me?
Yeah,
It
it
ain't
ain't
gonna
gonna
happen.
happen.
It ain't 40 years has told us, y'all, it ain't gonna happen. Right? So I love the fact that they gave him the respect to let him, continue his Hall of Fame career somewhere else that has a legitimate chance. And I think the Rams got them by not giving up 2 1s. Because he's a player, in my personal opinion, anything less than 2 first-round draft picks, I got you. I won. Right? Even if you include another player in there, you still need 2 first-round draft picks to justify that because he's a generational talent. Miles Garrett, this dude 6'6", 270, can 360 dunk, can run full speed, duck under you, run over you, anything that you can think he can do. Top tier. Day one. You know what I'm saying? Hold it like nice, right? So I think LA won it slightly, right? Um, and I just love what the Rams building, man. I mean, they went and got 2 top corners from the Chiefs. You add Verse, you already got Kobe Turner on the line. You got Braden Fisk. I mean, like the Rams are a franchise that say, look, man, we strong in this area. We're win now. We're not depending on draft classes to put us over the top. We need some proven players because we're right there, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We don't care what the outside think. They're very calculated moves. Even like drafting a quarterback this year from Alabama first round. People like, oh, why would you do that? Because Matt
That was
Stafford
calculated.
40, he
Yeah.
41
Yeah.
years old,
He
and
is.
I
He
need
is.
somebody to teach this young boy how to do it, right?
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
Mhm.
like, look, we don't need no
Mhm.
quarterback play. What we need to do is be thinking about they use their draft for the true future,
Yeah. That's
right?
the Green Bay move.
Green
The
Bay.
developmental quarterback aspect.
Man, Smitty, I've talked to so many people like, look, I don't understand why teams who have good quarterback play and who are perennial playoff teams. I ain't talking about winning it. I'm just saying generally you're in the playoffs. Why wouldn't you draft a quarterback every 3 years? It's the most valuable piece to own. Who better to learn from than Jordan Love in Green Bay? Who better to
Hmm.
learn from than uh, Matt Stafford or some of these other top quarterbacks, right? You're
Mhm.
just sitting there just grooming. Like, listen, shut your mouth and learn. That man say he wants
Hmm.
some donuts, go get his donuts, but he gonna teach you
Right.
this how to get this
Right.
done. So
It's
and
value in that. It's a
it's
lot of
value.
value in that.
So
Mhm.
so you look at like people like, I don't know if you remember the Kirk Cousins RG3 battle, right? They got
Mhm.
drafted the same year.
Mhm.
And lo and behold, Kirk Cousins has had the better pro career. Nobody thought nothing about Kirk Cousins. It was just throwaway pick. But you got a guy, you figure some things out. Oh, he the one that can
Mhm.
really play. The other
Mhm.
part about that to me is a quarterback is the most valuable piece. So whether or not this young guy that I drafted to be groomed by these top quarterbacks actually is good or not, that's not on me. But if somebody else believes he is, that's a win for me, right? In terms of, hey, you need a quarterback. Same thing what happened to Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Jimmy Garoppolo ain't do much. You know what I'm saying? But he sat behind Tom Brady. And you know what? San Fran say, man, he better than what we got. Give him some money. Why wouldn't you do
Yeah.
that? And then again, the draft capital to me is what's paramount. Because that's how you build. That's how you build for the future. Ain't nobody going to Cleveland on no free agent deal.
Yeah.
There ain't no
Right.
top free agent going to Cleveland to
Right.
wear doodle
Right.
brown and orange. No,
Right.
it's not happening. You played in Cleveland 4 games. If you a
Right.
free agent this year and Cleveland
Oh.
offer you 30 a year and even Dallas offer you 28, you probably gonna go to Dallas.
Probably so.
Tax free,
I'm, I'm going. I'm
you
going.
put that
I'm going to answer that for you right now. I'm going to Dallas.
you
If it's
go
worth
to Dallas.
2 million and that's the situation, and we're talking about over 25 million, yeah, of course. Like we're talking about lifestyle. We're talking about everything. I mean, plus you brought up Dallas, so you know what I mean. That's America's team. But
Bruh, the sun
to
don't
go to
shine in
Cleveland,
Cleveland, Smith.
yeah,
The
to go
sun
to
don't shine
Cleveland
in
to be in
Cleveland.
30-degree, 20-degree weather with 40 years of losing, nah, I probably won't pick that.
Yeah. So when I look at it, I think everybody won for what they would where they are. The Rams trying to win now. They ain't playing. They ain't hiding it. They trying to win right now. Cleveland is doing what Cleveland does. They save face. They got a good play on defense. They can highlight. But right now they got a quarterback situation they trying to figure out.
Yeah,
And you got this great young player who's still under his rookie contract. He got 2 years left on that. Where Cleveland ends up on the deal, and you guys can help me out on this because I'm looking on the outside in. Cleveland, if they won or not, they're going to have to wait 3 years to find out because they got to draft some people with these draft
yeah.
picks. They got to sign some people. All these other things have to happen. Whereas with the Rams, you can pretty much bet on what's about to happen the next year. Barring any major injuries or things like that, you pretty much can go ahead and pencil them either into the conference finals or whatever. They're going to be there. You can pretty
Well,
much
Smith,
pencil that in.
Be in a hunt. Mhm.
can I share something on the trade too? You kind of devalue Jared Verse because you take him from an all-star defensive line and you put him in Cleveland. And I'm not saying Cleveland is a horrible defensive line, but they're not the same level. And that's kind of something that's not talked about much. It's like E gonna benefit if we're on the same team and I got a dog ass defensive line. E gonna benefit from that because he's not going to be playing against wide receivers that got the chance to get in the routes and then, break their route off and scramble because the defensive line ain't giving the quarterback time. So now I can gamble more. I just know like I can get after it on a different level. Same thing. You take Fisk, not Fisk. You take First off that line, and we're not talking about. I don't think he's a super gifted athlete. You know what I mean? This is a guy who's winning a lot on power, speed to power, aggressive play. I think he fits well in the division. I just think his skill set works better with some high level talent
Guys
around
around him.
him. Um, and again, I don't, I think he'll still be an efficient player that can win. But to y'all's point, I'm like, now you got to go back in your bag, Cleveland.
Mm.
And the hard part is like the Jets. Like I told you, they won some trades. Okay, cool. Clap on the, pat on the back. Now you got to figure out how to make them trades win. You got to figure out how to have drafts to replenish talent, and then them kids got to hit. It ain't no, man, maybe no. He
Right.
got He got to
Yeah, he
hit.
got
Why?
hit.
Because we traded away a first ballot Hall of Famer. You got to hit.
He got hit. He got
But,
hit.
so
Got hit
then
on the
even with
draft
saying
picks,
that, you've been 40
Yeah.
years where it's been hard to find hits.
which is
So,
a lottery. It's a lottery.
it's like this, literally.
Still a crapshoot.
It's like you win some, you lose some, and then again, you playing in a place that's had so much quarterback turnover, coaching turnover, GM turnover. You know what I
What
mean?
do you
And
guys
and
think
it's
about? What do you guys think about Shador?
He
And,
need to get up
and,
out of
and
there.
can he be the starter that can get Cleveland going?
He needs to get
I
up out of there. He'll never
I
get that. He'll never get what he really needs to be what he really can be.
I will say this, Smitty and E. I think it benefits him that Todd Monken, the new head coach, has some relatively new college experience. See, I think, and I say that in a way because I think he's familiar with Shador and his game and what wins in college. Whereas I think you put Shador with some of these NFL lifers and they can't feel it. They can't feel it for
Mm,
the wrong reason. Like, oh, he holding his watch up. Oh, his daddy involved. That ain't got nothing to do with whether he can ball or not. You so
true.
worried about all these
Facts.
other factors. Whereas I
Facts.
think Todd Monken is closer to today's kids and I mean,
Mm,
Todd Monken was at Georgia when they won that championship. That was what, 21,
okay.
22?
Okay.
So
Okay.
he's familiar with the college mind frame. And I think it bodes well for Shador. He's just in Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
bro, it's like I how can I say this, Smitty? Obviously, we played at Wake Forest, but I think college is different. I do. When you go to some of these franchises that's been bad for so long, and you get there and you're young, and you find out very quickly why you've been bad for so long. You
Yeah,
know
Yeah.
you
what I'm
do.
saying?
Yeah, you do.
But
And
here's the deal: from a marketing and money standpoint, the NFL does not make more. They lose money the longer Shador is in Cleveland because you have this big
Mm,
star power stuck
mm.
in a place that doesn't have a good media market. From a grand scheme, having a player, a superstar that you could put out there, because remember his jersey sales were crazy.
17
And
top
million,
again,
number,
Leon said. Yeah.
he's in Cleveland.
Number
So
one,
imagine if somewhere. So
17
imagine
million, Smitty. That man makes
that's what
17
17
million.
million.
that's what I'm saying in
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
So
You see what I'm saying? So
so
now
let me
let's say some things jump off whoop de whoop over the next year, whatever, and the Rams say, you know what? We want Shador. Stafford's out the door. We want somebody we can kind of shape and mold that we could put out on that big stage. You talking about LA? That's a bigger sale. Or hell, even ship him down to Dallas.
Yeah.
You put
But
him,
hold
you
on
take
now.
him.
We talking
I'm
about
just
Shador now.
saying
That's Matt Stafford now.
you got a young star that you got sitting in Cleveland. He needs to be in front of a camera, whether you like him or not, whatever. The
So
dude
you
is
think
gonna
he's a
do it.
star? You think he's a star
Dog,
on the
yeah.
field? I know he's a star
I
off the
think
field.
he is.
He's a star
Yeah,
on the
that's what I'm
field.
saying. I think he's a star off the field, but I think he could be on the field. But neither will happen in Cleveland. They just
you
will
know
Gotcha.
not.
what
And
Shador
from
gotta
a
be at,
marketing
Smitty?
standpoint, put him somewhere else where
You
everything can shine.
you know where Shador gotta be? And it's simple, really. Atlanta. Your
I knew he was
Oh
daddy.
gonna say
man.
that. I knew he was gonna say
And but hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out.
that.
Atlanta and our fan base and our just the black culture and the black I ain't gonna say power, but the black prowess here, right? Government, police, all of that, right? Just black people here, right? The way we got behind Mike Vick, man, it's still people here to my mama's a
I
But
ain't
he
never seen
ain't
nothing like
Mike
Mike.
that.
Vick more than me.
But he's
They
not
talk
an
about Lamar
electric.
Jackson. I ain't never seen nothing like the Mike Vick effect. That was
Yeah,
crazy.
Well, but
no.
see
The
but
kids don't know that.
those two quarterbacks you guys are talking about are electrifying running quarterbacks.
True.
He
But
is a
True.
Shador is more of a pocket passer. I'd rather
I'm with you.
break you down. And so
I'm
I'm
with
not
you.
saying Atlanta is a bad place. I'm just saying is
Not a very
Black
strong arm
America.
though. Not a
I'm,
Yeah,
very
I'm
but that's
strong
what I'm
arm.
saying. So he's gonna beat you in so many other ways. You know what I'm
so
saying?
I'm saying Atlanta for a bunch of different reasons, right? I think it's a great place where he can incubate his talent along with his star power off the field, right? I think it
Mm,
marries
Okay.
very well.
gotcha.
That's a bonus for Arthur Blank. I don't care what you putting people in the stands, right, to
Yes.
come see him, right? The Falcons ain't
Hmm.
really deep. But them people was coming to see Mike Vick. They was coming
Yes.
to see Michael Penix, right? We support. You support. We're supposed to. The other side of that is, I will say,
He ain't gonna be famous till he in a Tyler Perry movie. But go ahead.
the division. If you look at the division, man, it's not talked about a lot, but your quarterback play the division says everything about it. If I put you in a division where you got to go against Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Aaron Rodgers, even an old Aaron Rodgers is better than a young rookie. Now I put you in versus Baker Mayfield, Bryce Young, and Tyler
Pressure.
Shook. That's a better matchup for you. Way
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
matchup for you. At
Yeah.
that point now, it's
Yeah.
just about building around you. But that's why I be looking at, we've talked about this off air, Smitty. I don't know the minds of some of these people who making decisions, right? The
Mhm.
fact that the Falcons didn't go and try everything they could to get Lamar Jackson the year he was a free agent was
Mm.
buffoonery. There ain't no
Mm.
other time that you're gonna be able to get that type of talent that was sitting right there in your lap. He would have killed in this division, would have
Mm.
murdered them. It ain't nobody
Mm.
in this division that could touch Michael Vick. I don't
Boy, they love
understand it.
him in
But
Baltimore, boy. Woo.
I want to not Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson. I want to touch on something else that I read and see your thoughts on this. I read that the Eagles were big players on Myles Garrett, players, but Cleveland wanted Jalen Carter back. The Eagles said no, he's a franchise, he's a cornerstone piece, and they offered Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt, two young rushers, very good players. I personally think Philly messed up. I think they should have traded him. I really do. I
Mm.
think paying. I think you can speak to this. You can't pay everybody. Obviously, on two different spectrums. You can't pay everybody because you don't
Yeah.
have all the money. But
Yeah.
some people who come in with baggage, who you hear stuff about how they act and some of the things that teammates and coaches have to kind of stay on them about. They're a little bit more immature. Some of those players, you don't want to pay them, no matter how great they are, because now it's going to be a real headache. You know what I'm saying? The more money
Yeah.
I'm paying you, like, I don't know if I can control whatever you bring off the field, blah, blah, blah. I personally, I would have done that. If I was the Eagles, I would have let go of Jalen Carter, because at the end of the day, they're one of those franchises. The Eagles know how to draft. They know how to develop players.
Mm.
They hit home runs in the draft. And I would have honestly, man, that would have been a crazy trade to add that piece to Philly. You know what I'm saying? Um, but that was interesting that was even on the table. You know what I mean? But Philly's one of those teams, man. They always in the mix. Howie Roseman crazy in the GM tip. Anybody who's nice,
Okay.
he gonna try to come get you. And I don't know how they had these assets to pay him. I really, really don't. But
They get it from
they do.
somewhere. Hmm.
They do it.
But it goes back to both of you mentioned, and I'm kind of paraphrasing here, is a lot of this depends on what is the mentality of the owner. If that owner
Very
wants to
true.
win, it's going to be a certain way. If they don't
Do
really
we want to win
care,
now?
yeah, that all of that stuff is
Do
factoring
we
in.
not
So
care?
pace,
Mhm.
yeah, and sometimes it could be if I own a tech company and an oil company,
Are
and
we in a lower
let's
level
say I
market and it
own,
just doesn't make sense?
yeah, so if I own a tech company and an oil company and the Carolina Panthers, what do you think is at the top of my list on a day-to-day basis? You see what I'm saying? So, and I think,
That tech
but exactly. But if I go
or
in
that oil.
and the Panthers at the top of my list, then I'm going to approach it a little bit different. I'm going to start pinching pennies. I'm going to start questioning that GM on paying this veteran player, and not it ain't had nothing to do with on the field, but I need to save a couple of $1 million this year. Period. And that's the part that owners, I think, don't want to talk about, because when you're an owner, you don't want to come off as broke or cheap.
Mhm. Mhm.
You don't want to. You don't want that to be your public perception. So you put it on all
But
these
it's
other
going to show.
things, and then you end up with the Cleveland Browns, and from what I've heard, the
Mhm.
Arizona Cardinals, or how they
Bengals,
run things.
Cincinnati
But
Bengals.
they're also in the same
Buffalo
league.
Bills too. Buffalo Bills too.
Yeah.
They not going to spend but so much. You know,
But then
it is what it is.
but you're in the
But they've
same
opened up the
league
pockets a little
as
bit
other
more over the last
spaces.
several years. Mhm.
Yeah, but then you're
So
competing with other owners that are willing to spend on those other things. And so it just that's why sometimes I look at when a team makes a big decision like trading a player or whatever. What is the mindset of the owners of the team? And that's why with this Rams and Cleveland trade, everybody won.
To me, if you're a big
Everybody
market
won.
team, if you're a big market team, you should spend because the opportunity for you to make it back and continue to build the organization is it has more value and it's a greater investment, is greater return on your investment. If you are a Tennessee, if you are a Buffalo, and yeah, Buffalo, okay, we hit on Josh Allen. Okay, now let's put the pieces around him. Let's give him a big deal. Let's make it happen because they hit on the quarterback, right? So far, Tennessee, for instance, I'm just using them for example, they haven't hit on the quarterback. But we can't go out and spend mega millions on all of the top players because it just doesn't make sense for our market. I might not be able to make it back.
But
Mm-hmm.
we have seen Tennessee when they did hit on the quarterback with Steve McNair,
Yes,
and we seen
exactly.
the love he had from the city and where he took the team to. But see, that's essentially what you're alluding to. Like if you're a small market team, your foundational draft that's got to be
Hmm.
top notch, bro.
Gotta hit it.
You can't be like Jacksonville and be like, yeah, let's draft Travis Hunter and then we just gonna play him wherever. No, that shit
Right,
don't
And
work. You
and,
talking
and
about the
that's
NFL?
right,
It's the
and
right.
NFL.
we're going through
It's the
that here.
NFL.
And
You
now
gotta
think
have a
about it. Look at
plan.
before we go, fellas. I want to continue. Look at the Panthers. You're in this state now that's one of the fastest growing in the country. You're in Charlotte. The area is growing in popularity. And now all of a sudden, as an owner, you want to say, "Hey, we need the state to give us some money for a new
Stadium.
stadium." Well, the state is saying, "Look, we ain't making money and growing because of the Panthers. Ain't nobody
Mm,
moving here because they Panthers fans that live somewhere else and they got to be.
mm,
That's not happening here. So you don't have any leverage. We got
mm.
enough of this other stuff going on that feeds into North Carolina that if we lose the Panthers, we're going to make this money back. All we're going to do is push college football even more. So you might want to be, because where you going to go? South Carolina? Nothing against South Carolina. What you going to do? You going to move to Myrtle Beach? Like what are you really going to do? And so I think, like you were saying, in some markets, sometimes the team doesn't always have leverage. I mean, the Bears were going through that same crap. Okay, go
So
ahead, go to Indiana, see what happens.
so I seen this, Smitty. When I was in New York, my first 4 years, if anybody was available, like bro, we just woke up. Man, my first year there, my first training camp game, I woke up to 30 text messages plus. Like, damn dog, y'all got Brett Favre? Like, what you talking about? Didn't even know. We got trade, go down to
Wait, they
breakfast
didn't
in the
tell
morning.
they didn't tell the team.
Oh hell no! They
No,
put Chad
you never know.
They put Chad Pennington, flew him out there expecting to play in the first preseason game, flew him back, not charter, the economy, flew him back, just like took him to the,
Really?
bruh, Braylon Edwards.
Yeah.
We at practice one day, watch somebody walk, hey man, we just traded for Braylon Edwards, damn. Santonio Holmes, damn, we just traded, just like that. And like to E's point, in them big markets, man, they expecting that, right? That's why the Yankees just gonna
Okay.
spin and spin and spin, because they
Okay.
expecting that. You got people that's been Yankees, third, fourth generation Yankees fans. As much shit as people talk about the Jets, our fan base deep, super deep.
Yeah,
And them people,
Yeah.
they coming out there, they
super
talking
deep. I've
shit,
seen it.
they
Mhm.
booing, they love it. They just what it is. So they
Man, Jets
expecting you to have
fans
the
ain't
best
nothing but
roster.
Knicks fans in football season.
Oh,
but
last thing.
but
Who gonna win it?
but
Who
so
gonna win it? I'm saying Knicks in 7.
nah, Spurs gonna win that shit, man.
I
I
It's
got
gonna
a
say
little soft spot in my heart for the Knicks for Jalen Brunson. I think he's the winner.
I
He won
think
2 at
if
Villanova. He might get him one in the NBA.
it depends. Does
I'm an
Wimby grow
underdog kind
up
of guy.
from if Wimby grows up from that game one loss? See, he hadn't
Well,
been this far
he
yet.
already did that
This
last
this is new
series
for him.
too.
Well,
He
that's what
figured
I'm
it out
saying.
last series, so he might
But
figure it
can
out
he
this series
figure?
too.
Yeah, if he figures this out, it's a problem. It'll be Spurs and 6. If he
Mm.
I
figures
think
it out,
I
because they
think
done
it's the
kind of
coach,
lost that
man.
home field thing. Would say what,
I think
Pace?
it's I think it's the coach, bro. I
Yeah,
think if y'all think about
for
it,
sure.
man, anytime you get in a playoff environment, the coach is what decides win or loss, right? Because everybody can
Okay.
play. We good. We in the playoffs. I ain't saying
Yeah.
like we can either, let's say we playing basketball, we might have a top notch center, and the opposing center might not be as good, but our point guard crazy. Y'all point guard. So it balances out. It's all about who making adjustments, who making. It's like, why you playing De'Aaron Fox when Hunter killing, not Hunter, Dylan Harper killing. But
Yeah.
you, because he's young, you don't want him to have that moment. But his play is saying, no, he ready for this moment. So we can't
Shit,
be
they didn't
worried
like that
about.
last game. Hmm.
We can't be worried about who to start. No, hey, bro, come here. Come on over here,
Yeah.
De'Aaron. Sit right here. I let you
Yeah.
know when it's time to go back in. You know
I
what I'm
feel you.
saying?
Well, hey, fellas, great time. Another dope episode. Thank everybody for tuning in on the live. We went live tonight on Facebook. Check out the full episodes. Gonna drop next week. Any parting shots? Or you guys good on the night?
And I'm good, man. Y'all have a good weekend, man. Bless up.
Yeah, man. That's
Yeah.
it, man.
I got a parting shot. Steelers fans forever. That's it.
Oh, ooh.